Please play the talk.
Disconnected branch pulmonary arteries with suprasystemic pulmonary artery pressures. Disconnected branch pulmonary arteries with origin of the one of the pulmonary arteries from the arterial duct is a rare congenital abnormality. Complications related to this condition include pulmonary artery hypertension and hemoptysis. Assessment of operability is difficult and becomes even more so when the condition is associated with other shunt lesions. We report a 2-year-old boy with disconnected pulmonary arteries with severe pulmonary artery hypertension who underwent surgical repair after a multimodality assessment. He presented to us with recurrent respiratory infections, poor weight gain, and effort intolerance from infancy. On clinical examination, he had central cyanosis with oxygen saturation of 85%. He was tachypneic and his liver was enlarged. The second heart sound was split with a loud pulmonary component. An ejection systolic murmur was heard at the base of the heart and continuous murmur was heard at the right subclavian rim. His ECG was in sinus rhythm with right axis deviation and right ventricular hypertrophy. His chest X-ray showed cardiomegaly with relative radio opacity and reduced vascularity on the right chest. The echo showed usual atrial and abdominal arrangement. He had normal systemic and pulmonary venous drainage. There was a large atrial communication with bidirectional shunting. The interventricular septum was intact and there was septal systolic flattening suggesting elevated pulmonary artery pressure. The pulmonary trunk continued as the left pulmonary artery with a large PDA seen predominantly shunting right to left. The aortic arch was left-sided with an aberrant right subclavian artery. A vessel was seen arising from the medial aspect of the right common carotid artery coursing down to continue as the right pulmonary artery. There was narrowing of the proximal portion of this vessel with a mean gradient of 50 mmHg. A cardiac CT scan confirmed the anatomy and the absence of significant pulmonary parenchymal pathology. He underwent hemodynamic assessment by cardiac catheterization. Figure 2a depicts the preoperative angiogram of the RPA showing an end-hole catheter via the arterial site at the base of the right common carotid artery, showing a duct arising from the medial aspect of the right common carotid artery. Figure 2b depicts the preoperative angiogram of the LPA showing an end-hole catheter via the venous side through the main pulmonary artery, which continues as the left pulmonary artery, showcasing the disconnected branch pulmonary arteries. On this slide, we have the hemodynamics. There was systemic desaturation with a normal cardiac output. A step up of 18% was evident from the systemic vein to the left pulmonary artery, and the left pulmonary artery pressure was close to the systemic pressure. The right pulmonary venous wedge pressure was low. No significant change in pulmonary artery pressure was seen when inhaled nitric oxide was administered non-invasively after balloon occlusion of the arterial duct. After discussion with the surgical team, complete repair was offered with reconstruction of the pulmonary arteries, ligation of the arterial duct, and restriction of the atrial communication. Here we have the surgical sequence as seen on the operating table and the surgical steps. The first cartoon shows the baseline anatomy with the collateral vessel from the medial aspect of the right common carotid artery continuing as the right pulmonary artery. The figure also shows the main pulmonary artery continuing as the left pulmonary artery and the aberrant right subclavian artery arising from the descending aorta post the left patent ductus arteriosus. The branch pulmonary arteries were dissected up to the hilum to ensure adequate mobilization. The second picture depicts the right pulmonary artery which was divided proximally and anastomosed to the main pulmonary trunk. The third and the fourth panel show end-to-side anastomosis connecting the anterior AA points and the posterior points. The last panel shows the final anatomy wherein the right pulmonary artery was anastomosed to the main pulmonary artery and the left PDA was clipped. Absorbable sutures were used in this anastomosis and no pericardial patch augmentation was done, permitting natural growth of the tissues. The intra-atrial communication was closed with the autologous pericardium with a 5 mm residual communication. His post-op recovery was uneventful. The pulmonary artery pressure both on invasive assessment and on echo assessment was less than half systemic pressure, and however pulmonary vasodilator therapy was initiated from the early post-op period because of the severe preoperative pulmonary artery hypertension. He remained clinically well with improved weight gain on follow-up at 2 and 6 months post-surgery. His echocardiogram confirmed normal ventricular function, subsystemic pulmonary arterial pressure, and mild narrowing of the proximal right pulmonary artery. He underwent hemodynamic assessment by cardiac catheterization 1 year after surgical repair, which showed normal pulmonary artery pressure. Angiography did not reveal significant narrowing of the proximal right pulmonary artery. His pulmonary vasodilator therapy was hence discontinued. Moving on to the discussion, this is a rare congenital abnormality with an estimated prevalence of 1 in 2 lakh. This anomaly has been described using various terminologies, but the most appropriate terminology and the most commonly used one is ductal origin of the proximal of the pulmonary artery. This could be an isolated abnormality associated with intracardiac shunt lesions or part of a congenital heart disease complex such as tetralogy of Fallot. The clinical presentation includes pulmonary artery hypertension, hemoptysis due to rupture of collateral bronchial arteries, and scoliosis in late childhood. There is also potential for the affected lung to remain underdeveloped if the arterial duct constricts, resulting in reduced blood supply to the affected lung. The cause of pulmonary artery hypertension is not very clear and has been attributed to a number of factors, including pulmonary hyperplasia and maldevelopment of the pulmonary vascular bed. In our case, the pulmonary artery pressure was suprasystemic before surgery but returned to normal in a year's time. It is hence likely that the pulmonary artery hypertension was related to an increased blood flow to the left lung and returned to normal following decrease in blood flow to the left lung. Al-Khaldi et al. Have demonstrated that early surgical reconstruction results in return of pulmonary artery pressure to normal, sustained growth of the pulmonary artery on follow-up, and low reintervention rates on medium-term follow-up. We did not use autologous material for augmentation of the anastomosis and were able to mobilize the right pulmonary artery using posterior flaps and modified suturing technique. There was thus growth of the pulmonary artery at the anastomotic site as demonstrated by the post-op angiogram. In conclusion, we present a rare case of disconnected pulmonary arteries with ductal origin of the right pulmonary artery who presented with severe pulmonary artery hypertension. The take-home message is that a single-stage repair with reconstruction of the pulmonary arteries as well as shunt lesions resulted in normalization of pulmonary artery pressure and growth of the reconstructed pulmonary artery 1 year post-surgery. Early surgical repair is likely to favorably alter the long-term outcomes of this rare congenital abnormality. Thank you.
Dr. Danish, it was a very nice case, and you have a very nice result also. One thing I would like to ask is